Welcome in, wrestling fans. Jeff Upson alongside Paul Myers. We're at the Mid-Winter Mayhem at IUP. We just finished up day one, Paul, and boy, we had a fun day, long day, but a fun one, and we have a lot to recap here. Paul, just let me ask you, just all the work that you put into it, how do you feel actually getting through day one, and once everything's up and going, do you feel a sense of relief? Now everything is up and going.
Oh, yeah. I mean, right after wrestling starts, it's definitely at 15-minute grace period after wrestling starts, it's a big weight lifted off your shoulder. There's a lot of preparation that goes into setting up a tournament like this and making sure everything goes accordingly. I mean, in terms of like the wrestling part of things, it's pretty much a one-man show setting everything up. I mean,
Right.
I have a lot of help getting everything set up on the floor and the background stuff, but yeah, definitely a huge weight lifted off your shoulders.
Well, I'm happy to hear that, and we're gonna jump right in because you and I both need to eat. So let's start at 107 pounds. And I gotta say, let's pat ourselves on the back here, Paul. Our seeds that you and I did, I was happy with them.
Yeah.
There was a couple 9s over 8s or maybe a 5 over 4, but all in all, I thought they were pretty good. So, just food for thought there. 107 pounds, Gage Swank, the top seed. He's recently down from 114. This is his first time down at 107 pounds.
He looked like it.
Yeah, he did for sure. Fall and 2 tech falls into the semifinals. And Gus Stediford from North Allegheny, he beat Griffin Tinsman of Marion Center, who you and I were both impressed with at the Panther Holiday. So that was a big win for him. But then Dalton Wenner from Cranberry ends up getting a fall over Stediford. He had a fall in 33 seconds, a major 13-1, and a fall to make it to the semifinals. I think that's a really good semifinal match between 2 top freshmen.
Yeah. I mean, they both pretty much ran through their part of the bracket to get the matchup there, so not really surprised at the top half.
And on the bottom half, and maybe you could say, well, Mason Beatty hasn't had the year that maybe we expected him to as a senior at 107 pounds, but he has had a good year, and it really showed because I was really excited to see him versus Birdie Bishop, and I think that was a match that we all wanted to see. And man, Beatty he looked like a man out there.
Yeah, I mean, when I came off and started watching the semis, that was the one that I tuned into first because I figured that would, if I had to pick one of the semis, that's probably the one I would have thought would have been the best battle. Beatty being a returning state qualifier. Again, he lost that match to Tinsman at the Panther Holiday Classic, so it's like, well, where do you really put him here? But, I mean, he had a great matchup. It was a 0-0 first period against Bishop, and then he kind of went to work on top, got a turn in the second, and then just turned it on for a takedown and a couple more turns there in the third. So really separated himself there.
I thought the physicality of Beatty was really the difference because, like you said, it was nothing. But then all of a sudden it was like, okay, we're in a different gear. I'm a man, you're a boy. And, it was, I mean, again, good win for Beatty. But he's got Seth Kolb on the bottom half. Seth Kolb, he had definitely not walking through the tournament by any stretch. He beats Brady Bowers from Fort LaBeouf, who's not bad at all, beats him 9-2. And then he beats the 7th seed, Dylan Barrett of Penn Trafford, who I've been impressed with this season. He's kind of gotten better as he goes on in the Whippeal and Tripway. Seth Kolb beats him 6-4. So now we have 2 upperclassmen on the bottom half, 2 freshmen on the top half. And, winners are going to face off each other. So I like this bracket just because it's the new and old kind of thing,
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the bottom half semi. Not that I'm not looking forward to the top half either.
Right.
I think the experience in the bottom half is really going to come to fruition. I mean, both of them are state qualifiers, so they've been on the big stage. So I think that one's going to get a nice matchup there.
114 pounds, we have Ty Kapusta of Franklin Regional, a returning state medalist. He gets 2 falls in the first period and then ends up beating Jared Popson from Brookville 8-2. That was a good match for him. Popson's a tough kid. This is a pretty deep bracket if you look at it. And really, the guy who impressed me was Tyson Cook of West Grand.
Yeah.
Now, he was going to be down at 14 for the Hurricane Classic. Did not wrestle at the Hurricane Classic. Was in the bracket but didn't wrestle. This is his first time in a tournament at 114 pounds. And he beat Evan Davis from Clearfield, who's a state qualifier, very tough. And he beat him up pretty good, 8-0. It was a very dominating win, Paul.
Yeah, I mean, he controlled the whole match from start to finish. I mean, Kapusta and Popson, just like you said, that was a good matchup. I didn't know if Kapusta, like how that match was really going to go, but Popson really hung around and held his own in that match. But, I mean, Cook just – there was his pressure on the top game was a big difference in that match because I got to watch that.
Bottom half, 2 tech falls into the semifinals. Weston Pisarcek of Brockway, he ends up getting 2 falls and then a tech fall over Chase Shaner of Hughesville. And then the third seed, Logan Sollett of McDowell, he ends up getting a tech fall, a fall, and then he techs Aiden Beimel.
Yeah, I mean, I watched both of those matches. It was all Salat from the beginning. I mean, he got the opening takedown and then went to work with the turns, and I mean, it was kind of the same with
it was
Pisarcek.
2 minutes and 56 seconds too.
Both of them were under 3 minutes.
Yeah. I mean,
Pisarcek's top work with the legs and that claw to a tilt and everything. I mean, he really worked that against Shaner pretty well. Salat was just, I mean, he was a shark in the water.
He looks big too. I mean, he looks. I was wondering how he was going to make 14 because he was up last year, and you know, he looks filled out, but he doesn't look like he's sucking down. You know, so I really like these semifinals here. Tyson Cook and Kapusta. Kapusta actually told me, he said Tyson Cook is you know, he says he's really tough. I'm really looking forward to that match. So these are all 4 really, really high quality, high end guys here at 114 pounds.
Yeah, I think that bottom semi, I mean, it's kind of, I would say it's kind of a clash in style because Logan's more of like a bruiser type thing, and Pisarcek's kind of like a little bit funkier and rolls around and then rides a good leg and everything on top. So I think that's definitely different styles there, where the top half they're kind of similar in style.
121 pounds. Brent Hare does. Boy, he might be better than his brother. I don't want to say that out loud in front of Connor because I don't want to get beat up, but he is absolutely disgusting on the mat. Like he's so tough, and he has grit. You know, Connor's kind of like a professional. He's like a businessman. You know, like goes
out and gets the job done.
Brent, I think he is more of like the guy who's like gonna give you a little check a little bit. You know, like hey, Brent ends up getting 3 tech falls, all in under 2 minutes and 38 seconds. He's the top seed there, so no surprise there. But Cooper Smith from West Allegheny, after a big win over Brady Joling of Chartiers Valley in a dual meet earlier this week, he beats for the second time this season Dylan O'Brien of Hickory. This time he beats him 5-0 into the semifinals against Brent Hare. That's a tall task for him.
Yeah.
You know, 2 freshmen there. But on the bottom half, Jake Bennett impressed me. He beat Hunter Geibel of Commodore Perry, and he looked really good in doing it. He kind of very much dominated the match in a 7-0 decision over Geibel. And then on the bottom, the very bottom quadrant there, how about this? We have 3 freshmen at 121 pounds in the semifinals.
Yeah.
Matt Almedina of Mid-Valley ends up getting a couple big wins, beats Snoop Shalosky of Forest Hills, and then takes out the second seed and state medalist Elijah Brozis of Cranberry, beats him 6-3. Those are some big wins for a freshman who really hasn't had a ton of, you know, like Brent Hare's wrestled at the Cumberland Valley Kickoff. Mid-Valley being a new resurrected program, hasn't been in a ton of different events, but that was a huge couple wins for him.
Yeah, and I mean, in that quarterfinal match, he dominated that match from start to finish. I mean, yeah, it was a 6-3 score, but he just went out there and went to work.
Yeah.
I mean, I was super impressed by him. That's the semi or the quarter in that bracket that I really wanted to see, because I never got to see that Almedina get to wrestle, and I was definitely impressed with, from start to finish, his scramble game, his leg attacks. He puts a good ride on top. And
he looked really tough from top. Because that's the thing. You see freshmen, and sometimes they're just not as comfortable on top, because normally if they're really good in junior high, they do a lot of takedown, let them up. and he just looked like pressure forward, always on his toes. That's the one thing I always noticed was he was always on his toes, which is something you don't really see a whole lot from freshmen. So 3 freshmen all in the semifinals here at 121 pounds. We're guaranteed to have one in the finals here. So really looking forward to that. Speaking of freshmen, we have Jax Forrest, the #1 ranked wrestler in the land, the entire US of A. Jax Forrest is the guy. Not surprisingly, he gets 3 tech falls into the semifinals. Jax Forrest doing Jax Forrest things, and yeah, not really surprising there. Ryan Klingensmith of Kiskeria, the 4th seed, he ends up getting 3 falls into the semifinals. I thought that was a good performance by him, you know, because Bomber of Lion Mountain's not bad, and Klingensmith looked really good. So a couple Whippeal guys here with Hayden Coy joining him. Those two have wrestled numerous times in their careers. Hayden Coy comes out with 2 tech falls and a fall to get to the semifinals, where he's going to face Cole Householder of Brookville, who we all know is really tough. So
yeah, he's definitely tough.
Thoughts on 127?
I mean,
surprised? No. I mean, they're all the
I'm
4
not
seeds,
surprised,
right? They're
but,
top 4
I mean,
seeds.
Jax is going to be hard to beat. I mean, Householder's tough. You know, I mean, they're all tough, but it's just you know, like what do you expect here? Top 4 seeds make it into the semis and do it in dominating fashion for the most part.
Right. Yeah, I mean, there was no real competition to this point for any of those guys. 133-pound state champ Scott Johnson of Muncie. He kind of rolls into the semifinals. But I'll shout out to Brandon Orr of DuBois. He was scrappy. He either took him down or reversed him. He got a takedown or reversal on him. So not super surprised by that, because he's tough. But Scott Johnson is a state champ.
Yeah.
Right? So, but Scott Johnson, he'll meet Caden Puderbach of Hughesville, who was the 4th seed, who got a fall and tech fall.
And his 100th win.
His 100th win, right? Yep. Beat a very tough Turry from West Scranton, and Michael Turry of West Scranton, who was the 12th seed. He ends up beating him in tiebreaker. This is after he upset Nathan Monapart. So Nathan Monapart and Turry, that was a really good quarterfinals match. I got to see that one. Turry beats him in tiebreaker 2. Then Puderbach comes and beats him. So really a District 4 heavy one here, because you've got Dylan Granaham from Benton on the bottom half as well. He ends up getting a 6-4 decision over Keegan Dermestat of Pocono Mountain East. And on the bottom half, JoJo Subishin, he had did you watch that match?
I did.
That was that you flip a coin. That's it. I mean,
those Pisarchiks, they're tough. I mean, they both wrestle pretty much the same way, you know. But yes, I wasn't really shocked about how this weight stacked up and made it to the semis, but I definitely am intrigued on the bottom half semi on how that's going to go. Granahan and Subishin.
And this is, for a tournament that has a good, healthy mix of double A and triple A, these are all double A guys.
Yeah.
And that I think shows a lot, because you've got a state champion, Scott Johnson. You have a state medalist in Granaham. You have a 2-time state medalist in Subishin. Puderbach is right there. So you've got 2 District 4s, and you've got all double A. So that's really nice to see here. Especially when we talk about getting that mix between double A and triple A.
Yeah.
Maddox Shaw of Thomas Jefferson, he is your top seed at 139 pounds. He ends up getting 2 falls in the first period, 3 falls. 4 falls. I'm sorry, I can't count, Paul. It's been a long day. Really untested here, beats Wyatt Lazar of Commodore Perry. And then Brady Collins of Clearfield. That was one of the best quarterfinals that I saw, him and Hayden Ward of Canton. Really good match there, and Hayden Ward's coming back from a little bit of a layoff, but Brady Collins, we know how tough he is. He won this last year.
Yeah, and I wasn't shocked at all with that too. I mean, it was a fun match to watch with the 5-6 ranked guys in the state there. So again, an 8-7 score. I'm not surprised by that, but that was definitely a fun match to watch.
On the bottom half, it was Devin Magro of Bishop Court, who got a major decision over a very tough Nick Jones of West Allegheny, who beat Ethan Kolb of Benton. That was a 3-1 win for him. That was an 11 over a 6. That was a good win for Nick Jones. And then, Magro just continued to do what Magro does, man. He's you just never count him out. But I feel like people do a lot, but you just shouldn't. I don't know.
I think him and Saylor will be a nice semi to match because they both have good similar styles. They're both very methodical. They're both quick. They can roll around. I really, really like that matchup right there.
Me too.
Just because of the way that they wrestle.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with you. And you look at common opponents. Connor Saylor lost to Eli Carr. Magro beat Eli Carr, but I agree with their styles. Like that can go either way.
Yeah.
I think that is a really tight matchup, and I think their styles kind of clashed a little bit. So another young kind of sophomore with Collins and freshman or sophomore with Magro and sophomore with Maddox Shaw. So really a young group here at 139 pounds. 145 pounds, man. Nico Taddy dominates into the semifinals, beats up Hudson Spires of General McLean 13-4. And then really the one I was looking forward to was MJ Turry of West Grand and Gage Halbrun of Marion Center. That was a tough match, man, 3-1. And Turry had a really tough match with Owen McMillan of Bishop McCourt before that. So I thought, okay, if he's close with McMillan, Gage Halbrun is the guy who I just feel like never goes away. He's just always there. And we've seen him 100 times, I feel like. Well,
they go to all my tournaments, so I feel like I've been watching him wrestle for like 15 years. But
well, you have.
And he's got a fun style to watch too.
He does.
He lets it all hang out. That's the name of his game.
And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, right? And,
very true.
In this case,
this time it didn't.
Turry, prevailed, and he'll have Taddy. Taddy, I think, is clearly the guy here, but on the bottom half, third seed Chase Burke of Benton really just turned it on against Ty Avini of Clearfield. And that's after Avini beat Shaddle of Line Mountain, who's not bad at all. Burke beats him, Avini, 11-1. Trent Hoover, man. I know we've talked about Trent a lot, Panther Holiday Classic and hometown guy. Trent Hoover is just a complete different animal. He is not pinning guys. He's beating guys, like physically just beating them. And he beat Hudson Ward from Canton. And everyone knows the Wards from Canton. And they're all good.
Yeah.
So very good win for Trent Hoover, 15-4 over Ward.
Yeah, I mean his mindset is to go out and score 15 points on every kid and try to get better at moving his feet and just really turning up the intensity, and he's done a great job so far. He's got a tough matchup with Burke.
Yeah.
Who also got his 100th win in the round of 16. But yeah, I mean if I had to pick one of these semis to watch, then I mean that would be the one.
That'd definitely be one of them.
Yeah.
One thing I heard Coach Todd Niebauer say a lot is keep your foot on the pedal, foot on the gas, on the gas. Like don't let up, because there are times when you look and you're like, okay, he's just going to coast. He never really did. 152 pounds, like his younger brother Connor Hare of Montgomery, a state champ and returning champ here, and OW of the Mid-Winter Mayhem. He cruises into the semifinals, 3 tech falls, all in under 2 minutes and 12 seconds. And a really good match here. And this was right across from where I was sitting. Dustin Flynn, the 5th seed, over the 4th seed Caden Dennis of Johannesburg and Johnsonburg. Those guys have wrestled, I feel like, a bunch too. They're both in a lot of your tournaments.
Yeah, and they're built really similar. They have the same style. I wasn't expecting an 8-2 match here. I was expecting
4-3.
I would have said 3-2 all
3-2,
day.
yeah, 3-2.
Yeah. But I mean, Flynn had he struggled a little bit there in the round of 16. There wasn't very much action in that match
against Flieger.
Yeah, against Flieger, but against Dennis, he really turned it up a little bit to kind of separate himself and get that 8-2 decision.
Separating himself was Bodie Marlowe of Thomas Jefferson. He beat Artis Simmons of McDowell, who's pretty good.
He beat him.
And he beat him 11-0, and it wasn't close. Ty Waters, of course, everyone assumes we're going to have a top-ranked, nationally ranked matchup here with Ty Waters and Connor Hare, which I assume we will as well. But, Bodie Marlowe is not going to just fall over for Ty Waters either.
No.
But Ty Waters is also Ty Waters.
Yeah.
He gets a couple falls to be in the semifinals, and, we're looking like that's where we're heading here. 160 pounds, one of the deepest weight classes here. Nationally, it has 3 guys ranked in the nation.
Yeah.
No other weight has that. 3 guys ranked in the nation. Grant McKay of Laurel, recruit going to Pitt, state champion a few years back, a state runner-up last year. He ends up getting a couple falls, 3 falls into the semifinals at 160 pounds. And I will say Caleb Butterfield of McDowell impressed me today. McDowell had some good wins, and Butterfield, he had 2 really close wins. I was surprised to see him so close with Caden Hagerman of Danville. Beat him in sudden victory 6-4. But then he had a really good win over Carter Freeland of Clearfield. And, oh, by the way, Paul, our 4th seed, Aiden Zimmerman, doesn't make it.
Yep.
Returning state medalist. Now, he's banged up. He's hurt. Like, there's no doubt, right?
Mm-hmm.
But towed the line. And Freeland, man, just –
yeah, I mean, he goes unseeded and gets 3 wins over seeded guys, or 2 wins over seeded guys,
Yeah.
and then almost knocks off a 3rd one in Butterfield. But just from the beginning, I was really impressed with the way that he came out and he's like, well, I'm unseeded, so I'm gonna show what I'm here for.
Screw those guys, right?
Yeah.
Jeff and Paul don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, him and Zimmerman it was a tight match, and then he ended up getting a takedown or a reversal straight to his back on Zimmerman and got the fall. And then him and Butterfield, I mean, they went at it the whole time, too. That was a fun match to watch. Yeah.
On the bottom half, Sean Taylor, West Allegheny. He is victorious. He beats a very tough Gavin Beck of Franklin Regional, beats him 14-4. I mean, Beck is – Franklin Regional guys like Nathan Stone and Gavin Beck, they don't give up bonus. Like, they're just tough dudes. And Sean Taylor really just impressed me there. Dom Frontino gets a forfeit over Loudon Murphy of Southern Columbia, so he's into the semifinals after a fall and a tech fall there. So that's going to set up a rematch. These 2 wrestled at the Super 32. Frontino beat him. They didn't wrestle in Hershey last year. One was 8th and one was 4th in the state. So yeah, this is going to be a really fun one here. And Grant McKay kind of quietly on the top half there. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, he does what's expected of him. Butterfield, I mean, he went out there, got the win in sudden victory, and then I mean the bottom half semi is just, I mean, it's going to be really fun to watch.
That's my favorite. That's my favorite right there.
Yeah. Did you see what happened in why Loudon Murphy forfeited? I didn't see what happened.
No, neither did I.
Because they didn't come up and say anything to me, so I was guessing it happened on the mat.
Yeah, I didn't see it.
Okay.
So.
But regardless, I mean.
Yeah. Frontino, Sean Taylor, that's must-see wrestling right there. Nationally ranked guys going at it in the semifinals. 172 pounds, Wes Barnes makes his triumphant return to the mat. Not the gridiron, the mat.
It's been a while.
It's been a long time, man.
I bet he was really looking forward to it. I mean, you could tell that he was still shaking off the rust a little bit today, especially in his round of 16 match.
Yeah.
I mean, he was getting in on leg attacks.
Not able to
not really able to get to the finish, but again, he hasn't wrestled in a year and a half.
Yeah, I don't know who is longer off, him or Spencer Lee.
Yeah. So I was glad that, and I know that his coach was super excited about him being back. He called me the other day and he's like, "Hey, I got some good and bad news for you." He's like, "He's a little sick and under the weather, so we're gonna leave him out, but."
You get
Wes Barnes is back, so I was like, "Well, I'd love to have both of them, but I mean, either way, it's nice to see Wes Barnes get back on the mat."
He beats a really tough Tassos Whipple.
It's got to be the best name.
Tasso Whipple?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a great name. Not only is your first name like really just Tasso, and Whipple, it's like, it's a pretty good name. And Whipple had a really good win over Brendan Taylor of Canton, really dominated him. Wes Barnes, though, that was one I was thinking, okay, if he's going to get upset, it might be from him.
Yeah.
Barnes ends up getting the win. Caden Fink of Montgomery, he had a really good win. Easton Balfour of Brookville, who was a 4th seed, loses to Danik Hinkson of Commodore Perry. Not a guy that I knew a ton about coming into this tournament. Beats him 3-2, and then Fink beats him 8-5. So Caden Fink and Wes Barnes going at it, 2 District 4 guys, not too far from each other. And then on bottom half, Connor McChesney, Fort LaBeouf, another guy who was here last year in the finals. He won 8-4 over Race Millard of Johnsonsburg, who was the 6th seed. That was a really good win for him, 8-4. And then Waylon Whaler just doing that's another great name. I love those names too, Whaler, the Whalers. And I feel like he's been around forever. Fall in 42 seconds, a minute 32 and 57 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, It's nice to see Johnsonburg be able to get all of their guys
Finally in the lineup at the right weights.
Yeah, I mean they're all just like so stacked around one another. It was nice because I mean, for my events I try to get as many backups as I can into the varsity tournament so they can get their experience and everything. And it's always like I'm talking to Vitano and he's like, "Listen, man, can you try to get these guys in?" And it's nice to not have to worry about that probably on his side of the buck too. But I mean, they're tough, scrappy wrestlers. They're well coached.
Yes, they are.
They all wrestle the same type of style.
They're all carbon copies of each other.
Yeah, I mean,
you could put all three of them in here. I wouldn't be able to pick them out. They're all three. Like
I mean,
the
same with Cam Larkin. You know, I mean,
yeah, true.
At the next weight, but Whaler, he just I don't know if he was trying to go for the fastest fall whenever he went out there in the quarters, but
it sure looked like it.
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean,
he's kind of got a chip on his shoulder a little bit too. I think he's really improved over the last year. 189 pounds. Julian Marion of Franklin Regional State medalist beats a really tough Diesel Kozer, another great name, Diesel. Diesel Kozer of Shippensburg beats him 10-0. That's a pretty wide win for him. Really separating himself, for Marion. But he's going to have a tough one with Adrian Gasick of Parkland. Adrian is a guy who beat Jake Jones from Saucon Valley. Gasick's one of our most improved guys, I think. He was at the Surge, won the Surge. He beat Josh Ryan, pinned him in 53 seconds, and then beats Carter Chamberlain, a state medalist, 9-4. So, I mean, I'm really looking forward to that semifinal, Marion and Gasick. That has a lot of good implications there.
I think, Parkland was a great ad. Their coach is a good dude. And I don't want to say that like they're unheard of. That's not what I'm trying to say. But they kind of fly under the radar a little bit. I think
they get lost in the shuffle in District 11.
Yeah, and I think they come over to this side of the state, and everybody's like, "Oh man, Parkland." We don't know all of their guys because, like you said, they kind of get lost in the shuffle in District 11. But they're a tough squad, man.
And their records don't always show it, reflect it. But they are tough dudes. And you and I talked about that in seeding. I'm like, this guy may not have the most seed points, but I'm telling you, he's there.
Yeah, he's tough. I mean, you're coached by John Trench. So.
Well, I mean, yeah, it doesn't hurt to be coached by a guy like him.
But, yeah, I'm looking forward to that one, too. Obviously, Marion's a state place winner. He's tough. But Gasick just beat a state place winner, so I guarantee he's going to go out there and be like, why not again?
Well, the biggest upset for me was on the bottom half. Riley Parker of Canton, another state medalist, got pinned by the 14th seed Jude Brenmigan of Southern Columbia, who I'm not going to lie, I had to look up.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know him. I knew he was younger, and I know last year he was a regional qualifier. But, that was a huge win for him. And Jackson Zimmerman then ends up beating him 3-1 to make it to the semifinals. So the 6th seed comes out of there. Bottom half, Seth Stewart of Brockway, another state medalist. He ends up pinning Cooper Roskowski, who pinned Magnus Lloyd, the 7th seed. So that, to me, that 7 and 10 was a huge match because I thought Cooper Roskowski is a young guy trying to make a name for himself. Magnus Lloyd, a little bit more established, for a chance to wrestle Sam Stewart, and Stewart pins Roskowski, or Seth Stewart, and that's a big win for him because Roskowski's dangerous.
Well, it's a super deep weight.
Yeah,
so
probably would be one of the deepest. Would you say?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you have multiple state place winners and throw in some state qualifiers and so on and so forth. But that Stewart and Roskowski match was a 0-0 match there for a while, and then. It kind of just got like a little flurry, and Stewart ended up on top and got the fall. Yeah, I mean,
189 was really exciting. A lot of depth there. 215 pounds, state runner-up, Austin Johnson, Powerade champion. Fall on 15, fall on 14, and a tech fall in 3 minutes and 15 seconds. And he'll have Owen Ott of Penn Trafford, the 4th seed. So Owen Ott had a good win over Grant Matthews of Berlin. And then on the bottom half, Troy Peterson of McDowell was the 3rd seed. He goes down to Michael Davis of Canton. Now, Davis is making this is his season debut, I believe.
Yeah.
He was a regional place winner last year, but had 0 seed points because he hadn't wrestled up until this point.
Yeah, and I mean, I think Coach Lyle would even say the same thing. It's kind of hard to know
what you're getting.
Where these guys are going to be at. I mean, they had a long football season. They just got back into the room midway through December. They have a couple weeks of practice, and then they go to Trojan Wars, and then they've been wrestling dual meet after dual meet after dual meet. I mean, it's kind of hard to know exactly what you're going to get there, you know.
And Davis certainly proved that. I think he's getting back into shape. You know, he beats McClellan from Franklin Regional, who's not bad. Beats Peterson 7-5, who was the 3rd seed. Then pins Chase Tinsman of Laurel, who was a 6th seed. So, you know, really good performance by him. He's going to have a good match with Danny Church. Danny Church of Fort LaBeouf, a guy we're familiar with, was on our True Power card. Gets 2 falls, and then a really tough 7-1 decision over Aiden Buggy of North Allegheny. So I really like 215 because Austin Johnson is clearly the dude here, but it's the other guys. It's the other guys I'm trying to see where they end up, you know. 285 pounds, our last weight. Gunnar Tribally of Danville, not Meadowbrook, Danville, gets 3 falls into the semifinals at 285 pounds. Gets a nice win over Josh Dittinger of Athens. So District 4 guys going head-to-head. Zach Gallagher of DuBois makes it out to the quarterfinals, but Joe Enoch, he has a mullet that I don't think he's ever going to lose. He's had that, I feel like, forever.
Well, it's long.
It's there, right? 3 falls for him into the semifinals, and he'll have Tribally. And then on the bottom half, Gavin Thompson, a guy who's been around for 80 years, I feel like. I mean, he's been around forever. Gets a fall in 7 seconds, fastest fall of the day. 7-second fall for Gavin Thompson, 18-second fall following that. And then he took 3 minutes and 14 seconds to get his other fall. I don't know what he was doing there. Colton Hill of Laurel, a guy who, you know, we were curious to see where he was going to be and where he fit into this mix.
I feel like Laurel always has a heavyweight.
Always has a heavyweight. They're like Central Mountain to me. Central Mountain always has a heavyweight. That's just good.
Yeah,
you know?
Coach Carmichael does a good job of filling the heavyweight position, that's for sure.
And on the bottom half, Wilson Spires, he, for the second time in a week, loses to Bailey Miller of Brookville. He had lost to him 1-0 earlier this week and then gets pinned by him here. Spires is coming back from an injury, so clearly not quite in shape yet. But good win for Miller, but then Hill beats him. So a bunch of falls, you know, not shocking, not surprisingly, into the semifinals at heavyweight.
Yeah, I mean, 285 is falls or 1-point match usually.
What time's wrestling start tomorrow, Paul?
Weigh-ins are at 8 for varsity. Wrestling starts at 9, and then we have our junior varsity and our girls event that weighs in right after, and we'll begin wrestling at 9:30.
So when can we expect the semifinals to kick off?
I think semifinals are slated to start around 11:30.
That's what I thought.
So yeah, I'll stay true to that time for sure. So
okay.
Look for the semifinals to be streamed on Mets 3 and 4.
Okay.
For 11:30 tomorrow morning.
Okay, and then we're gonna tear down and build a stage.
Yep.
Right. And elevate our wrestlers up and. It's going to put on a show.
Yeah.
That's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, tomorrow's finals are going to be really, really fun to watch. We have of course, the varsity. There's I mean, ton of great matchups, of course.
But our girls, too, man.
Yeah, the girls will get the opportunity to wrestle up on the stage as well, so.
Awesome. Well, Paul, we appreciate it, as always, and let's go get something to eat.
Absolutely.
Right? All right, guys, we'll talk to you tomorrow, and keep it tuned in to PA Power Wrestling on Rockfin. We got all the coverage here. And we also have the Collinsville Duels coming on Rockfin tomorrow as well, so you're going to want to check that out, Collinsville versus Candimac, Erie, Cathedral Prep, and also Frazier's in there, so we'll have coverage of that as well. So it's going to be a fun Saturday.